right. All right. So it's Tuesday, election day, where hopefully we won't vote in the same pieces of shit that we've been voting in. I don't know. We'll see. Let me put some Blistex on. Blistex. Gosh. We got some shit talking to do this morning and throughout the day. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. All right. Election day. Today is that time-honored tradition where Americans choose to mostly stay at home and bitch about politics instead of getting off their rumps and going down to the polling stations and pulling the lever and, having the hanging chads and then arguing for the next couple of 4 years about how, I wish we hadn't voted that son of a bitch into office. And then the next election cycle comes around and they tend to vote the same son of a bitch back into office. That's election day. Good morning. I'm Brett Johnson. I think everyone knows that by now. And this is the Brett Johnson Show. And I think everyone knows that by now. And we're a lot that does not put up with bullshit. And I think everyone pretty much knows that by now as well. Now, look, I woke up this morning and I had a very nice message. So there was a lady yesterday that, and I really like this lady. She's very nice, very personal. She's been there for me since Brett Johnson Show transitioned to Eastern Kentucky, and it looks like now transitioning more bitching about. I don't want to say politics. More and more bitching about hypocrisy. So she reached out to me, and she was talking about Brandon Smith. I keep mixing up Brad Stidham and Brandon Smith, and excuse me for that. They are not the same people. They're not. But she messaged me about Brandon, and she was like, hey, this guy, and she said, I'm a Democrat, but I support him because he has helped me, and she explained more and more, including this morning, about how Brandon had helped her, and she was like, we really need him. Okay, and everyone knows what I had to say yesterday. That Brandon and Bill Wesley, both pieces of shit. All right, so my point is, she thought yesterday that I was that a lot of my conversation was targeting her. I don't target people. I mean, I do. Just ask Michael Cagle if I target people. So I do. But I don't, I did not take her feedback or what she was saying in any personable way whatsoever. I did not. I was using that as kind of a springboard to talk about how both sides, yeah. All right. So I listed a bunch of stuff yesterday about Bill Wesley. Absolute dog shit. All right, absolutely. I also mentioned a lot of stuff about Brandon, and I am not much more impressed with him. But this man has helped this lady, and I just understand that. And I guess the point I'm trying to get at is that we've seen this, and I don't have fault with her liking the man at all. I don't. And I think that certainly there's a lesser of two evils. Okay. There's no such thing. We have to remember the people who are in power, and we see this a lot at the local level. We've seen it with Punkin Combs. We've seen it with Happy Mobilini. And I hate to even call him happy. Anytime a man, a grown-ass man with a penis for a head, anytime he calls himself happy, something is wrong with that dude. All right? Something's wrong with that. But we've seen it with Scott Alexander, with Scott Blair. We've seen these individuals who, part of the electorate, the people who voted for them, still back them Pumpkin Combs, for example, he was backed until his ass went into the grave, and he's burning in hell right now, and people are still backing that son of a bitch. That's my boy. Well, no, that's not your boy. It's not your boy. That's someone who uses you and your family to further themselves. I'm not saying that about Brandon Smith or Bill Wesley. They've moved past that local level. All right. But what I am saying is that understand that a lot of these politicians, while you think that they may have your back, like Pumpkin Combs, a lot of people really liked that man because he got a lot of people jobs in return for political power and favor. All right. You take Chris Fugit, you take Brad Stidham, getting the names right now. You take those people, they run churches as a business. They're not in the business of God. They're in the business of money, is what they're, and power. That's what they trade in. The individual pointed out yesterday in those texts that I was reading from him, that former law enforcement fellow, the overstuffed chairs on the stage, those throne type chairs on that elevated platform, so that the people who are ruling can look over their peasants. They're in the business of money. They're not in the business of God. They're not. I was thinking this morning, of course I'm always late, but I was thinking this morning, driving down, like Gregory Preston, and he's not the only one that has problems with my colorful language, And I was thinking about what I was talking about last night specifically. Gregory Preston has problems with my profanity. And I was wondering, does he have more problems, or do people like that have more problems with my profanity? Would they prefer to say that the choir leader at the Gospel Light Baptist Church, or if he's a leader or whatever the hell this child rapist is, would they prefer me to say, well, he sodomized a 14-year-old? Because that's something that's very palatable for us, more palatable than saying, well, he fucked a 14-year-old up the ass. Which is preferable to those Christians in the audience? Because to me, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't think I am. It's a rhetorical question. To me, telling the truth of the matter, that person that's singing those songs, those gospel hymns, Amazing Grace, or whatever the Jesus Revolution song is that's typically played in a lot of these churches today. They forgot those old school hymns. Do those types of Christians just, they don't want the full truth of the matter in front of their face. They prefer to use some other term that helps, stick a Band-Aid on it. They don't want to think about what that Charles Leslie Cornett actually did. So they'll use the word sodomize, or, well, he did some things with some children, instead of actually saying what it is. Seems to me if we talk about what it is, as profane as it may be, as disgusting as it may be, that using the correct language and verbiage absolutely denies one the ability to not face what happened and what is continuing to happen by that man, that child rapist, being front and center in that congregation still. So it seems to me that profanity, and I didn't even look up the verse today, but the Bible mentions, do not take the Lord's name in vain. I agree not to do that. Lord knows that when I came on out of the gate, I didn't mind a bit. But the listeners really had a problem with that, especially Susan Deaton. And I respect that woman to no end. And she asked me kindly, and it hit me. I was like, she's absolutely right. So it's not like I don't listen. But it says something about, words said carelessly, or, whatever that cursing is. We don't use careless words here. We don't. It may seem that way. It may seem that way some, especially to those people who haven't been tuning in, who haven't had things explained to them, who may not want the filthy, disgusting truth of what actually is, shoved in their face. Because let's be clear, we absolutely do shove some things in people's faces. Not like Michael Cagle, who evidently likes to shove his syphilis-filled penis in people's faces and what have you. But we don't veer away from the truth of the matter. And I got on a tangent with gospel right there, but this lady talking about Brandon and Bill Wesley. The point is not to get out, is not to not vote. You want to vote, all right? When presented with two people, and she asked this in the comments yesterday, if they're both pieces of shit, who do I vote for? Well, I can't tell you who to vote for. I can't. But I think that of the two people, there is certainly a lesser evil. All right? There certainly is. I mean, I have a huge problem. With men in positions of power that use that position of power to sexually victimize women, children, other men. I have a huge problem with that. I have a huge problem with people being victimized at all. And I used to not be like that because I used to be someone that victimized people. I stole money from everyone, copious amounts. And I did not care about my victims. I seem to have changed a lot over the years. Now I really, I cannot stand the thought of a child being victimized, of a woman being victimized, of really anyone being victimized. And I certainly cannot stand the thought of someone in any position of power using that position of power to further victimize people. That church, Gospel Light, or that church up in Harrisburg, and I don't know what the name of that thing is. Doesn't matter. It's not as if anyone who goes into a church, you wonder why so many people have problems with Christianity. All right. You wonder why. And you see this all the time. I've got family members, and I've got listeners. I've got people on the cybersecurity fence, fraud prevention on this show that listen, and they're like, I'm not really into the you doing the Bible stuff. I get it. I'm not into that, but there's so much damage has been caused by the Bible. Not really. The damage has been caused by those who use this book as a very thin skin to go out and harm others. That's what causes the damage. This book, I mean, certainly the Old Testament, man, there's some shit in there. And New Testament, though, you start reading that, and there are parts that I disagree with. I can disagree with whatever I want to. That doesn't change what's in the book. But those overarching ideas of someone can change, can become a better person, can be redeemed. That unearned favor of God, grace coming down. You didn't earn it. It speaks to the equality of all of us. I say over and over that Avatar's a band. They've got a song, Hail the Apocalypse, and heavy metal band. So if you all aren't into that, probably don't want to look it up. But there's a line in that song that says all flesh is equal when burned. And I say this a lot during the show. We're all equal. We may be born different colors or different languages or into different financial, economic lots, but we're all equal across the board. All of that bullshit doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. At the end of the day, all flesh is equal when burned. You're still going to die. You know, all flesh is equal when burned. And this book talks about becoming a better person, about redemption, about doing unto others as you would have them do unto you, about treating people decently and with courtesy. And people tend to distort and pervert that book for their own ends to gain political power. You know, there's a reason that Bevan and Chris Fugit and all those people attend that church. It's not because they're devout Christians. It's because they have locked in an electorate. And they know that they can simply start saying stuff within the congregation or even from up there at the pulpit as maybe they're sitting in their little cushy thrones. And that by and large, the people are sheep in that congregation. They're sheep. How do I know they're sheep? Because anyone other than sheep would not put up with a child rapist at Gospel Light Baptist Church, sitting there, fondling himself as he's singing God's hymns and fantasizing about raping your child. Only a sheep would put up with that. It was during Falwell's term that a lot of the followers were categorized, and I don't know if I agree with it or not. I don't think I do. And I'll explain why in just a second. But Falwell's followers were characterized as poor, uneducated, and eager to follow. The uneducated, I absolutely disagree with. Absolutely. And the reason why is if you look at today's political climate, a lot of the people who follow either Joe Biden or Donald Trump, a lot of those people are not uneducated. A lot of those people are highly educated. Highly educated. So uneducated has really nothing to do with it. It's, for example, I'm an expert, to say the least, when it comes to cybercrime and understanding fraud mechanics and scams and the dynamics of how they work and why they should work and what makes them fail. I'm an expert at that. I understand that really better than anyone else on the planet. People follow, they get these teams, right? They get in this mindset of I'm right and you're wrong. And regardless of whatever my leader says, I will take that over anything that you have to say. And we see this in the political climate now. We see it in denominations. In denominations, and I'm not going to hammer any specific denomination. You know, you've got like the Pentecostals, whether they speak tongues or handle snakes or drink turpentine or what have you. I'm not saying they're wrong. It's not my cup of tea, but I'm not saying they're wrong. But a lot of denominations take a specific verse or an idea out of the Bible and they run with it. And my God, do they run with it? It's like they forget everything else in there and they become known for that one specific idea. And that's about it. But it's not about one specific idea. You know, I mentioned this a few weeks ago. Jesus, the reason he says faith of a child is because children just accept. They don't feel they have to earn. They accept that as the truth. As the truth. I've got my girlfriend now. I adore that woman. I do. I love her. I adore her. Her children are being put through the ringer. And thankfully the judge said yesterday, hey, you guys got to quit telling these kids all this stuff. Because, you know, a 9 or a 12-year-old, they don't need to hear what some of the adults are saying. So that was something that was very positive that came out yesterday. I'll talk more about that later. I don't know why I'm going off on this tangent about this. I don't. to me, everything is kind of connected because it is. Everything is connected. Everything. Um, we've got an election day. We've got people that maybe they don't know who to vote for. Maybe they have, a Pumpkin Combs out there. This person has helped me. I think the idea here is that yes, this person may have helped you, and even if that person has helped you, you need to look at all of the candidates because maybe there's not a good candidate out there. Maybe there's not. That doesn't mean you shouldn't vote. You should vote for the less evil of the one. The less evil of the one. The one that is more than likely to do everyone better than just a select group of people better. I think is the point. I think it's the point. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I got to read some stuff from Michael Cagle's former wife here in a minute. I didn't know the son of a bitch had a wife until she reached out. So I got to read some stuff from her in a minute because she said, keep me off your little show. Well, shit, if you wanted me to keep you off my little show, maybe you shouldn't have reached out to my little show. I didn't know your ass existed until you reached out to this little show. But now that you reached out, well, shit, you invited yourself on the show. You may not know you did. But did you ever? Just saying. I got somebody trying to call. That's my mom. That's my mom trying to call. Yeah. Talk to her later. I don't think she's going to vote. I may be wrong. I talked about cryptocurrency. I mentioned it a couple of times yesterday. What's interesting is that when I was I'm the guy who invents a lot of financial cybercrime that's around today. That's why I'm this godfather that people refer to as. We had a couple of precursors of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a mathematical problem that when it's solved, you get basically the solution of that problem. And it's a token. It's a coin. It's a Bitcoin is what that is. All right. It costs a lot of energy to mine or to solve that mathematical problem. It costs a lot of power to do that. Computer processing power. Like I've got two fairly expensive desktop machines. These days I couldn't afford to build those because of AI using up all the hard drives, all the graphics cards because of Bitcoin mining, stuff like that. The computer processing power that it takes to solve these equations and the electrical power is a lot. It's a lot. We have that, and it's not just Letcher County. You see these Bitcoin mining operations pop up whenever Bitcoin tends to be growing. Warren Buffett is correct. It is something that has never produced anything, and it never will produce anything. The only thing it does is take. It takes power. It takes people's money. It costs us instead of benefiting us. And that's always the way it's been. Always the way it's been. There's a reason that cryptocurrency is so rife with fraud. And there's several different tokens. You've got Bitcoin, then you've got all these what they call altcoins, which are different types of coins on different blockchains. So a blockchain is basically a ledger. So you open up a book that says a ledger. That's all a blockchain is. It's a ledger that's distributed. Not just one person has it, but everyone that owns those tokens has that ledger. All right. Some of these ledgers are public, like Bitcoins. Some of them are private. No one knows what's going on, like Monero. All right. Monero is a privacy token. That's a fancy word for Monero is absolutely a crime token. All right. It's strictly for people to launder money and pay for illegal things and stuff like that. All right. So you have these things, and before Bitcoin comes into play, you had online tokens, but you didn't have the ledger system, that blockchain. And we had eGold, we had Liberty Reserve, and they were precursors of today's cryptocurrency. Those two tokens, Liberty Reserve and eGold, well, the feds, they indicted those son of a bitches that started it because both of those tokens were used strictly for crime. Imagine that. Same as Bitcoin, same as all these other tokens. it talks about the early adopters, and Brandon Smith may think, and the newspaper says he's an early adopter of crypto. Not really. Early adopters of cryptocurrency, we're talking back in 2011, 2010, through about 2012, 2013. Those are the main early adopters. Those people were all criminals. Every single one of them. Every single one. Why do I know that? Well, those tokens were invented, yes. They were being used in exchange. Like you can read some articles about this guy who gave 10,000 bitcoins for 2 Papa John's pizzas, right? And he did. That's not what you call a use case. A use case is what primary use, what solidifies this specific currency, this token, as something that people will then use. A massive amount of people will use. That pizza story is not it. What was it for cryptocurrency was called Silk Road. Silk Road was an online dark web marketplace. Dealt primarily in drugs, but it had fraudulent services as well. Now, I was long before Silk Road comes into play. I built and ran the first online criminal forum or group of its type. It was called Shadow Crew. It was a precursor of those dark web marketplaces and that type of community. All right, it literally built the way that things would run for up through today. And today, cybercrime is the 3rd largest economy on the planet. 3rd largest. We've got United States, China, cyber. Those criminals have to be able to pay for stolen credit cards or, pot or meth if you're Scott Blair. They have to be able to pay for that. Well, you can't really send them a money order. You don't pay for credit cards. Hell, the feds will find out where you are. How do we pay for it? Well, you pay for it with cryptocurrency. You pay for it first with Bitcoin. And now you've got Monero, you've got Zcash, you got these things that the feds can't find out who's spending money on what. All right. Bitcoin, they can. So we had those precursors. And the point I'm getting at is the foundation of cryptocurrency, because the people who originally started using it and its use case itself was fraud and crime, buying drugs, trafficking people, trafficking what have you. Its cornerstone, its foundation was built on that of crime. And as time goes on, of course, we now see that there's this large movement, and has been for a few years, of people trying to say, well, cryptocurrency, it's going to change the world. No, it's not. And we can have investment instruments and blah, 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 blah. All right. And they keep trying to make it legal. And maybe it will be. But just on one chain, just one of these tokens, there's something called the Solana chain, for those who may not know. And on that chain, you can create different types of tokens. All right. That specific chain, there are probably, and this was probably 18 months ago, last time I looked at it. 18 months ago, there was roughly 55,000 new coins invented each day on just that one specific chain. And of those 55,000 new coins invented each day on that one chain, over 99%, actually closer to 100%, were all scams. And that is absolutely indicative of the entire cryptocurrency world. Now, why? Well, because it had a foundation to begin with of crime. So its initial owners were criminals. We, because I still refer to myself as a criminal, I just don't commit crime. We are very good about, okay, well, we can't make money on this anymore. What other crime can we commit? And it continues to perpetuate throughout the entire cryptocurrency world. So now that you're ripping off people, you have these pump and dump schemes, or you work with a system of bots, and it makes it look like everything's legitimate, and it's not until you put your money in. Oh shit, I've lost everything. Cryptocurrency is like that, and even the mining operations are largely like that. And I knew about, I didn't realize that Brandon Smith had been involved with that Letcher County operation. I had read it back in the day, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Because I know the world. I understand what goes on there. And yeah, he did that shit. He did that. I know he's innocent until proven guilty and all that bullshit. I know that. He did that. That's fact. All right. He also did some drunk driving. That's fact. Does that make him worse than Bill Wesley? I got a problem with some guy that, I mean, what got me more than anything, I mean, yeah, there was all the victimizing of women on that list I read last night and everything else like that. What got me worse than anything, I mean, the Chris Fugit bullshit got me too. But what got me worse was that son of a bitch had preachers pray over him so that women wouldn't throw themselves at him. Now, I've not seen a picture of Bill Wesley. I've not. I can't imagine, though, that he would have multitudes. You know, the Bible likes to use the word multitudes. I can't imagine that Bill Wesley would have multitudes of women throwing themselves at him to the degree that he would have to have a lot of preachers standing over top of him praying, "Oh, dear Lord, baby Jesus, please, please protect this Bill Wesley, abuser of women that he may be, degenerate scum though he may be. Protect him, dear Lord, baby Jesus, from all those females that would be to throw themselves at his feet." I don't think I believe that. I think that, I mean, dear Lord, I hope he stubs his toe today. You know, I definitely don't like a son of a bitch like that. I definitely don't like that. Let's say good morning right now. Let's say good morning. The point is, get your ass out there. Vote. Don't know who to vote for. Vote for the person who's less evil. Vote for the person who's less evil. Vote for the person who may not have that lakeside seat in the fire pit of hell, but maybe works in, you know, the boiler room or drives a shuttle car, something like that. All right, let's say good morning. Good morning, keeping you always number one. Always number one. Good morning. Deborah Brown. Good morning. Hope you're doing all right that way. I read your messages this morning. I didn't have time to respond because I was like 20 miles away. I had to feed the pook. My girlfriend's like, "Get ready." I was like, "I'm trying to get ready." She's like, "Get ready." I was like, "I'm trying to get ready." She's like, "Get ready now." I was like, "I'm trying to get ready." So I didn't have time. I read, but I didn't respond. I'll respond. All right. Tina Smith, good morning. Merlene Begley, good morning. Penny Napier, Howard Sumner. Howard Sumner should be voted in. And I know Christian McClinton got upset last night. He got riled up. I didn't read it all, Christian. I read the part where he said, "Hey, I've got a job. I work as a contractor." I was like, "Oh, okay, you got a job. I'm sorry. And then you said, "And I don't live with my girlfriend. She lives with me." Okay. I doff my hat, and I will say I was mistaken. I will say that. I apologize. Okay? I apologize. And I doffed my hat to you before about you picking up that trash. I said, no one should make fun of you for that. That's an honorable thing to do. And I didn't say that I disliked you either, Christian. The only thing I've ever said, and I'm going to add one more thing to it. The only thing I've ever said, you need a tan. A little like the Children of the Corn guy. A tan would help that. And I saw you do that video, and I think you need a haircut. You know, I don't need a haircut, but I think maybe a haircut would do. But I'm old school. I know you youngsters today, you youngsters like to grow your hair out. So I can understand and I appreciate that. But look, dude, I like you, man. I do. I think you're, and maybe I was wrong. Maybe you've got tons of experience. All right. Maybe you do. I don't know. I know you're very idealistic. And while I liked what you were saying, I just didn't think it was tempered in a lot of the reality of what was going on in the streets. Okay. Just saying. All right. But I liked you. And I said, I think you needed some more experience. And I still think that. So understand what I'm saying. All right. Understand what I'm saying. Lord knows you've got more than enough years in front of you that you could run over and over again for mayor of Hazard, Kentucky, or county judge executive of Hazard, Kentucky, because let's admit, evidently there's like a 76-year-old in there running for county judge executives. You got to give, I think he's a bit too old. I don't even know the dude. But, you know, if you've not won by now, probably time to give up the ghost, you know, go down and be a Walmart greeter or whatever you want to do. Or, you know, I'm not a criminal anymore. It's like I've got this criminal bucket list of things that I would have liked to have done before they wheel me out feet first. Like, I was a fan of Breaking Bad. I don't do meth, but the idea of running a mobile meth lab, that's not bad. The idea of stealing Rembrandt's night watch, man, I know the security of the place where they've got it. It's like I've studied it. I'm like, man, that would be a hell of a heist. That armored car robbery, stuff like that. There's a bucket list of stuff. I was like, I wish that when I was doing this shit, that I would have done some of that shit. Can't do it now. I don't use drugs. Maybe I should. I keep threatening. I think I've said it on a few interviews. If I make it up to late 70s, I'll adopt maybe a meth habit and a heroin habit. And then I'll hold court in the street because I don't want to die like my father did, shitting himself in the bed, unable to move, full of sepsis. I don't want to go like that. I don't. I prefer to go out standing up instead of laying down. And maybe that's what this show's about too. We're people who don't lay down. We stand up. We speak up. We do the right thing. We do something. We cowboy the fuck up, like I said we would last night. All right? So, Tina Smith, good morning. Howard, like I said, and Christian, I know I got off on a tangent there, buddy. I think that Howard is just a better candidate. I do. I think Howard understands the reality of the situation. Certainly the man has waded, and I know you have too, Christian. Everyone that's been walked through Hazard, Kentucky has waded through the literal shit that flows down the streets that Happy Mobilini is convinced is going to bring tourists, and maybe it will. I mean, I'm not sure what that billboard would look like. Visit the shit-filled streets of Hazard, Kentucky, $39.95 for a tour. We get one of them mud boggers. That's what we'll do. We'll get one of them mud boggers, big old wheels on it there. We'll have to put some mud flaps on it because we don't want the shit hitting the people that are in the bogger in the face. Maybe I don't know what the billboard looks like. You'd have to ask Happy that. I'm sure Happy could tell you if his little, his big penis. I mean, I don't want to say big penis head. His little penis head. Yeah, his little penis head. Depends on what he would say and what Scott Alexander would say, because evidently they're telling people that that ATV park up in Leatherwood where they pissed everyone off. They're saying that is going to we're going to be the ATV capital of the world. They're going to come from all over the planet to take their side-by-side ATVs and ride the trails, 700,000 miles of trails in a 2-mile square foot park, or however big it is. All right. I just don't see how you're going to allow shit to run the streets and claim tourism at the same time. Maybe I'm wrong. I think that Howard Sumner, I think he'd do something about that shit in the streets. I think the man had enough sense that if he was paving a road, he'd clean the road and he'd actually pave it instead of putting seal coat on it. I think the man would have the road cleaned after he stopped the shit from flowing in the streets. Couldn't be that difficult. The problem is that the people who are in charge, they'll let the shit flow down the streets of Hazard, Kentucky, as long as they can profit a little bit by it. Ask Denny Ray Noble about that. He told that initial contractor that guy was going to put in the right piping and everything else. And Denny Ray goes to him and says, hey, you use this substandard piping. You save about $300,000, and I'll take half of that. You take half of that. We'll be rich. We'll richer. And the contractor told his ass no. Denny Ray had his ass fired, got another contractor that put in the substandard piping. And people wonder, and it's not just Denny Ray, it's long before Denny Ray, but people wonder why Hazard got water problems, why they got shit flow down the street. Well, Happy Mobilini and Scott Alexander, more than happy to let the shit run down the streets as long as green is going in their pockets. And people out there going to vote that shit back in? So that shit can flow down the streets again, or keep flowing down the streets. I'm not quite sure who really wants to wade through shit in Hazard, Kentucky. I'm not sure about that at all. Think about that. I mean, do we really want that? No, I think you get rid of those son of a bitches. I think you get rid of them. Here we go. Deborah Brown. I voted. I looked in the mirror and followed your advice. You, Deborah, are my friend. I adore you, and you call me brother, and I'll call you sister. And yes, we're a family. We're a family. Sometimes family argues, but we're still family. And family makes up. Family makes up. Go on with it. Because they're family. That's what family does. Good morning to you, Deborah. I love you too. James Bagley, good morning. Janice Noble, good morning. Jonathan East, good morning. Deborah Brown, we love you. We love you too. Keisha Couch, good morning. Speed Demon, Kentucky, good fucking morning, Mr. Johnson, king of Airport Gardens. I don't know if I'm king or not. Deborah Brown, she's spunky today. Michael Smister, what up, punk? Michael, have you voted today? And I know you sent me a message a few days ago about that app. Been going through all this bullshit with court, all that stuff. Then Michael Cable popped his ass up. I still got to read from former Mrs. Cable. Jesse Lucas, hi, Brett. We should connect soon. Shit is nuclear. Brought to you by Monster Energy. I didn't get my Monster today. I've got my Jacks. Coca-Cola. Cajun Green Man, morning. Derek Dean, good morning. Palm down. Amber Nicole, good morning. Wanda Pollard, good morning. Hope you're doing well. And Wanda, I hope you're doing well as well. I will absolutely. I got to go by Little Caesars next time I'm there, and I got to come visit you next time I'm there as well, just a few weeks. Sean Absher. Yes, rape is rape. Why is that such a bad word? They want us to use the word sexual assault. Yeah, they want you to use sexual assault or sodomy or whatever because that allows those people not to have to face the reality of what happened. You know, it makes it less offensive to me, and I don't have to really, realize everything that happened. So if you could just use sexual assault, if you could use that, if you could do that, and instead of calling them children, if you could say young ladies, that would be even nicer. Young ladies, and we won't say the man raped the young ladies. We'll say, they were in a relationship. That's what we'll say. And we'll make it just as easy to process it and not have to realize we can somewhat deny the truth of what some human beings do to other human beings. And I can, lead my shielded existence without really having to understand the reality of things. So that's what we'll do. No, we'll call it rape. Wanda Pollard, she woke my ass up to that because I think what was I saying? Pedophile. I was saying some bullshit. And Wanda Pollard said, hey, I was saying predator or something. And she said, and she responded in the comment section, I am tired of it being called that when it is rape. And that hit like a brick. That woman said that, and I was like, man, she is absolutely right. So Wanda, I owe you on that. I absolutely do. Linda Dixon Root, I prefer truth. Melon Smasher is watching. We're watching you, Melon. Rick Christy Robinson, I slept. Good morning. I slept in this morning. Grandkids out of school. Good morning to you, and good morning to those grandkids. All right. Benny Napier, we are all God's children, no matter the denomination, but we receive grace from God as he is merciful. Amen. Brett Johnson, you are awesome. And Melinda Jones, you are awesome as well. Donna Hook Eberso, Brett, I am related to Brendan. Do I pout at you for roasting him? No, I absorb the truth and thank you for bringing things to light. And hey, I'd talk to Brandon. I absolutely would. And I think it would be a civil talk. I would tell him in no uncertain terms, hey, you pulled that stuff with the Bitcoin bullshit. I know that. Now, and Wesley, I'd sit down and I'd talk to Wesley. I'd talk to him. I probably wouldn't be very favorable to him. It's that whole thing about having preachers pray over you so women don't throw themselves at you. Dude. You ain't that. I ain't even seen you. You ain't that good looking. I wouldn't fuck you. Come on, man. Come on. You talk about prideful. Come on, dude. Please pray over me so these women won't throw themselves at me. Please do that. Please. Oh, by the way, I'm an FBI agent and a trooper. Are you really? No, but if I say it enough, people will believe it. Come on, man. Come on. I mean, good Lord. Here we go. What's this? Talking about a scam. Someone called on Facebook, said I won $2 million. I was like, oh yeah. So I went along with it. I knew it was a scam anyways. After I played along, I cussed him out. He cussed me out. We hung up. I went back to look, and it was like he was gone. A ghost freaked me out. Yeah, I get those call center guys. Sometimes I'll call them back, and it's not like you're going to like catch them or do anything like that. They're in India or Pakistan or some bullshit like that. And I typically just have a talk with them, bug the shit out of them until they're like, I did that with one of them. I kept calling back. And finally the dude was like, man, because what happens is you keep calling back and it disrupts them from making money that day. So you're taking money out of their pocket. And finally he's like, dude, what will get you to leave us alone today? And I was like, okay, look. I said, first of all, look me up. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, look me up, Google. So he Googles me. He's like, that is not you. And I was like, yes, that is me. He's like, that's you? I was like, yeah, that's me. He's like, really? I was like, yep. He's like, huh. I was like, I'll tell you what, I'll leave you alone. I just want to know what you make a day. How much do you make a day in there? And it's like 150 grand is what they were making. Well, I was like, wow, that's pretty good money for India. Should I have been to India? Went to Bengaluru. I know everyone talks about how great the food is in India. No. I was there for a week and I lived off of French fries and watermelon juice. Yeah, it was not that great. And Bengaluru, I got to be friends with the guys who ran the watermelon juice stand. I would go down there every day and oh, Brett. And I was like, yes, 2 watermelons. I had 2 watermelon juices. And I would drink my watermelon juice and I'd go back and I'd order French fries. And I was there for a week and I was like, ugh. But what really blew my fucking mind, now it's in the city, millions and millions of people. And I'm there getting my watermelon juice and this big ass cow is walking by and the cow stops. Don't really have sidewalks, stops kind of in the road. And it begins to piss. And I'm sitting there watching it. And I was like, well, I don't need to watch the cow piss. And about that time, these people start running up to the cow and catching the piss in their hands and washing their face with it. And I'm like, I ain't never seen that before. I've been all over the world and I ain't never seen that before. So I had to go back and Google it because I was like, that must be something. Well, it turns out, yeah, they wash their hands, they wash their faces. Some of them drink it. They view it as a blessing. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying that pee is not for me. I made a rhyme. See, we're poets and we just don't know. That pee is not for me. That pee may be for Scott Blair, but it's not for me. It's not for me. Not for me. I've not tried it. I might like it. I might. I don't know. You don't know what kind of perversions you've got until you try them. Who knows what type of perversions may lurk in this bald head of mine? I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that I will never go over and catch cow pee and wash my hands or face with it or try to drink it. I'm pretty sure I won't do that. We'll ask. Maybe we send a memo over to Scott Blair and ask if he would try it. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Inquiring minds want to know. All right. Caleb Parker. Love you. Love your show. Good morning, Brett. Caleb, thank you so much for tuning in. Much appreciated. All right. Natasha Maggard. I'm weak. Good morning. Well, we need strength. Natasha, you're outstanding. Thank you. You're outstanding. You have you put out outstanding posts. You've continued to support me throughout, and I truly appreciate you. I really do. Thank you so much for the kindness that you have shown me, and the positivity, and just everything you do. Truly, I truly appreciate you, and thank you so much for that. Gail Cornett. Good morning, my friend, and that cute Pookie. I'm late this morning. Well, I'm late too, so that makes us equal. Linda Dixon, you said he needs some more experience. Nothing bad. He just needs some experience. I think the young man, I call him a kid because I'm obviously older than he is. Like I said, he needs a haircut. He probably doesn't think he needs a haircut. Probably that young lady that lives at his place instead of him living at her place, probably she doesn't think he needs a haircut. Probably she's going to say, buddy, you don't need a haircut. You don't need a haircut at all. He's old. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay. Here we go. Donald Cornwell, that criminal bucket list has a really shitty retirement. It does. It does. It absolutely does. I was, you get, they talk about institutionalized. All right. Talk about that. And I remember these guys this one guy, bank robber, he had been in, 25 years, something like that. And what happens is on your release, you know when you're going to be released. They got it on, they put a printout, put it on bulletin board of, the exit day and everything and what time you're supposed to show up at R&D and get your ass out of there. And usually what happens is you, that day, your buddies, you'll all get up at 4:00 in the morning. You'll go down to the chow hall and you'll have breakfast and you'll bullshit because you're saying goodbye to everybody. And then they'll walk you to R&D. All your buddies will. That's what happened to me. They'll walk you there. And, some of those guys are never going to get out again. Some of those guys ain't got no family. The only family they've got is inside. And when I left, they looked at me and make us proud. Don't come back. Words of wisdom. Words of wisdom. There's one guy, bank robber, talk about institutionalized. He served about 25. And he didn't show up on release day. He didn't show his ass up. He's supposed to get his ass out. You're going home. We ain't got no home. Ain't got nobody. Only thing he knows for the past 25 years is behind that fence. That's his family in there. That's what he knows. That's what he's comfortable with. He's old. He just, he wants to just be there. That's his home. That's become his home. So he doesn't show up to get out. They start calling his ass over the intercom. Where are you? He's hiding. Doesn't want to leave. Finally, they find him. This was at, I think it was at Fort Worth. They find him. Kick his ass outside the fence. Man walks down the hill, walks into a bank, robs the bank. He didn't have any weapons or anything, but, you tell somebody, I'm robbing you, or give me your money or else. They'll give you the money. Robs the bank, walks outside of the bank, sits down on the curb, waits for the cops so he can go back home. Institutionalized. That retirement plan, you got to figure these days, and I've said the same thing. If I were homeless, didn't have anything else or anybody, at least you got a bunk, get something to eat, shelter. Yeah, you got a few people with knives there. Might have to go through a prison riot or two. Yeah, it sucks, man. It sucks. It sucks. But, the human beings are very good about adapting to their environment. Very good about that. And you get used to it. All of a sudden it becomes home to you. Like I said on a former show, I'd been out maybe a year and a half. And I told my dad, shit, I wish I was back in. At least I knew what things were there. I knew a person's word was their bond. They told you they were going to do something. They'd do it. Doesn't work like that on the outside. Doesn't work like that. Howard Sumner, hopefully the next mayor. You, sir, are correct. I take pride in everything I do, especially my work. There you go. There you go. If you're going to do something, do it right. Take pride in what you're doing. I sure hope to see you again, Brett, or at least see you, not again, but you know what I mean. I know what you mean. I'll be seeing you. I'll be coming to you. I'll be coming to you this morning. Natasha, whoever prayed over Bill Wesley so women wouldn't fall at his feet? God said, deny, deny, deny. Avoid all GOP preacher politicians. You can't make this stuff up. I'm weak. That's hilarious. I'm dying laughing. It's a new slang. I know. Don't ask. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't get it. What preacher would agree to that? What real certainly there are some preachers that would agree to that. Oh, yes, absolutely. I can tell by looking at you, Mr. Wesley. I can tell by looking at you that all those dirty women are throwing themselves at your feet. And secretly, that preacher's thinking, I wish they would throw themselves at my feet. That's what I really wish. But none of them will throw themselves at my feet, even though I'm the preacher and even though I want to squirt salvation into their souls. But evidently, this Wesley has something that I don't have, some je ne quoi, or whatever the French word is. I wish they would do that to me, but yes, Mr. Wesley, I will pray over you because obviously I bow down to your sexuality and your just manliness and machismo. Dear Lord, baby Jesus, Please take it away from him and give it to me. That's what I think this preacher, right? And that's not a preacher, is it? It's not a preacher. Martin Luther said anybody could be a preacher, but for some reason, that doesn't work that way, because a church, a lot of these churches aren't really, I mean, they're not in the business of, they're not churches for Jesus. They're a church for a business. We got to make some money. Guys, get power. Get power, more money, and more power, and more money, and we'll build more church businesses. And you got to realize, to me, I mean, those people are doing that, whether it be Church of the Highlands or that Harrodsburg or Gospel Light or whatever that bullshit is. You got to realize, I mean, seriously, you got to realize that those churches, the people who are running those churches as businesses and not, actually doing the work of the Lord, you got to really understand that those people really don't believe in God or Jesus or heaven or hell. They don't. They don't. If they did, they wouldn't be doing that shit, because they would think that, well, if I do this shit, I'm going to go to hell. But they can't believe in it because they do it. That makes it even worse, right? I mean, I said at one point I had considered becoming a preacher, but I didn't have the faith at that time to do that. And even I had a better moral compass than that. I didn't even know I had a moral compass back then, but I must have. These people, yeah, we'll pray over you, will you? Okay, look here. Moving right along. Carla Morgan Cagle. So I didn't know that. Should I say, look, I already had somebody, another comment say that, cunt Michael Cagle. I really don't like to use that word. I don't. We'll use it every now and then. We'll use it very sparingly. All right. So, syphilis spreader, Michael Cagle. I didn't know he had a wife. I didn't. I thought the man was just, I didn't even know the man was a preacher. Well, he's not a preacher. I mean, he claims to be. I didn't know he was claiming to be a preacher. But it makes sense. I don't know why all these sheriffs and head of law enforcement in Eastern Kentucky are also preachers. I don't know. I guess it's to get votes. Oh, that's what it is. It's the same bullshit. I'll be a preacher so that my congregation, I can get a congregation there. I'm going to run for sheriff. Well, we've got to vote for a preacher sheriff. That's what that shit is. It just dawned upon me. Anyway, I didn't know that the syphilis-filled cock of Michael Cagle and Michael Cagle's, degenerate ass was married. I didn't know that. I didn't know it until Carla reached out to me and informed me that he had been married. I am coming to you because, and this is the first message she sent to me. This was after I had Madison Prater on the show, and Madison Prater simply told the truth. All right. How do I know Madison told the truth? How do I know? The same way that we had a lot of people that watched the show that had been victims of other types of men, and they knew immediately she was telling the truth as well. I know because I'm a very good lie detector, exceptional. But I knew, and they knew, because they know what that truth sounds like, because they've lived that truth of a sort in their own life. Carla reached out to me. I am coming to you because I am Michael Cagle's wife. I guess his former wife. What Madison Prater fails to mention is that she took him to court, and the judge denied the EPO that she tried to get. No, she mentioned that. No, she did. She did. So you're wrong there. Okay. I put Mike through some bad shit. He never laid his hands on me. Did he cuss and scream at times? Yes. What she doesn't tell you is how she stalked him, and she tells some of the stuff. And again, I think I said during the show, and certainly the day after, that, Madison had done some stuff, but I thought that the stuff that she did was a result of the type of abuse, mental, emotional, physical, financial, that syphilis spread cock of Michael Cagle had been subjecting her to. That's what I said. And it's evidently the truth, because no one called me out on it except for the Carla Morgan Cagle. And she writes an extremely long post. I did read most of it, and my response was, I appreciate this, and we'll mention such. And I did the next day. I didn't mention it the way she wanted me to, but I mentioned it. Anyway, and she goes on again. I didn't read the next follow-up, but I did the show. I did the show. Now, she then reaches out to me because what happens is someone reaches out to me, someone anonymous, because when I say someone's anonymous on the show, I mean they are anonymous. I'll go to my grave before I tell someone's name, except, like Gregory Preston. He didn't ask to be anonymous. He was just saying, hey, I don't like you. You're too foul-mouthed and self-righteous. And I was like, well, maybe I am. You don't have to watch. Carla, what happens is after I have Madison on and have a couple more shows, someone reaches out to me and they says, hey, you may not have known this, but Michael Cagle's wife had sex with Brad Stidham. And I was like, that's interesting because I'm talking about Brad Stidham on this church. How much fucking is going on at Gospel Light? Evidently a lot. So I mentioned it. I was told that, Carla. I was told that. Carla evidently was incensed that I would say such. And let's be honest now. We already know that Michael admitted, I've got the text messages where he admitted to having syphilis and spreading it and not apologizing. He also wants to take a woman back only if she has threesomes with him. Now, Carla, he was married to you. Are you going to tell me? I mean, I've got his messages where he wants to have threesomes. I don't know if it's woman-woman threesomes, one man, or male-male woman, or male-male male, or woman-woman. I don't know. But are you meaning to tell me that you were married to this man and he never mentioned anything like that to you? Also, did he give you syphilis? I don't know. But I know you responded. And what you said was, you want to know if Mike's wife slept with Brad Stidham. Well, no, I didn't say that. Again, we're not using the correct language. I didn't say a thing about sleeping. Not a thing. What I said was, I had heard or been told that Mike Cagle's wife, meaning you, had fucked, not slept. Very little sleeping going on. Very little sleeping from what I understand. There was a lot of bodily fluids exchanged. So I said, fuck. You said slept. Two different things. Again, this show is very important. It's very important that we realize that words have meaning. Words have meaning. They have a function. And we should not use a word that doesn't mean what we're talking about. So, we won't do that, Carla. Let's agree to that now. I didn't say anything about sleeping. I said fucking. Difference. Just so you know. No, I can give you the answer. No. I know you had to be talking about me. I was. Yes, I was. Because that was the name that was told to me. Just saying. All right. I don't know why you want to bring me into this shit and what people think they know about my past. Newsflash, you are 100% getting wrong info. What I do in my past does not define me. I absolutely agree with you. I mean, I don't know. I guess what I did in my past does define me because it allows me to do what I do today. Maybe it's the same thing with you. Instead of saying it doesn't define you, maybe embrace it, own it, use it, learn from it, proceed better to be a better human being. Not saying that you're not already. I'm just saying, just my thoughts. Blah, 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 blah. But I damn sure changed, and I am proud of that. Why, if you've changed, that's good too. I'm not saying you didn't. I didn't. I never said that at all. Not at all. I didn't even know you existed until you reached out. So, if you want to know anything about sexual history, why ask the viewers? When I am pretty easy to get up with. Well, I don't really want to get up with you. Like I said, I didn't know you existed. I didn't care if you existed. You reached out to me to inform me and try to take up for this syphilis guy and, put down just one of his victims. You did that. You invited yourself on this show. I didn't invite you on. You could have been kept quiet as a church mouse, knowing what a piece of shit Michael Cagle was. And I would have never known you existed. Not at all. But no, you chose not to. So welcome to the Brett Johnson Show. Anyway, Let's see. But I don't see the point in asking about my past. But I'm willing to answer what you want to know to keep me out of your little podcast. And she didn't even say little. I'm not even worth the Little in little. She says instead Lil podcasts. Not quite sure what I think about that. I don't think much about that. Anyway, look, you would have never been on or mentioned in this podcast at all if you hadn't reached out in defense of something that is absolutely defenseless. All right? Now, you can say, and you said in your first message some of the stuff that Michael Cagle did, but what you were doing is you were taking up for this guy. You were taking up for this guy who abuses women, who goes out and catches syphilis, lies about having it, and then spreads it to other women. That's what you were doing. Who was milking women for money, using them, abusing them, denigrating them, breaking their self-esteem, grooming them in a very, very realistic way. That's what you were doing. All right. I understand that victims often take up for their abusers. I don't think for an instant that Michael Cagle did not abuse you, for example. I absolutely believe he did. I think that you would deny it to your grave, but I absolutely believe he did because he's evidently not changed at all. So he was doing it to you too, and he was fucking around on you. Sure he was, because he's evidently fucking around on everyone. So no, I didn't mention you on my little show. You invited yourself on this little show. And now we got a whole segment about you. I mean, shit. You don't want me talked about on the show? Don't reach out to the show. Don't take up for somebody who obviously was having a very bad day that day. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? Did you think that I was going to roast his syphilis ass the way I've been doing? And you were going to reach out and say, well, you don't understand. He could have anger. He could do all this other stuff, but he was a good guy, only not. And that I was going to magically just wipe all that away. You definitely ain't been watching this show. You definitely ain't been doing that. But look, I don't know, nor do I really care who, what, when, how, or whatever you fucked. Don't give a shit. Don't care. I simply mentioned that because it was interesting to me that both a Cagle and a Stidham were mentioned in the same sentence. I was like, that's interesting. Everything's connected. And that's why I was wondering about. That's it. Nothing specifically against you. Everything against Michael Cagle, but nothing specifically against you. I'm a pacifist. That's what I am. I don't like to stir the pot. I don't like drama. I like everyone to be peaceful, calm, cool, collected. Yeah. That was me being facetious, Carla. I want you to say that. I love stirring the pot. When you stir the pot, shit starts to come up to the top. And when it starts to come up to the top, man, we got more shit to talk about. That's exactly what we got. That's what we got here. All right. That's from a girlfriend. All right, what else we need to talk about? Look, today is election day. Today, wait. I saw Madison Prater pop up there. I want to handle a couple of these. All right, Tammy Crawford. I don't know what you're saying, but we're going to put you on there. When I first started watching you, you said this wasn't a political debate, but you have really been endorsing Howard Sumner. I don't know him, but I'm going to vote for, like you said, the less of the evil. And that's what I asked. Hey, I know I said this was not political, and I mean that. I do mean that. I do. I never intended to endorse anyone. I'm not telling you to go out there and vote for. I'm not. But I am saying that, there are 4 candidates. 2, my God, 2 should be avoided like the plague. That James Logan fellow, or Fields, or whatever his freaking Sloanfield, whatever his name is, that pervert. I was over at the Daniel Boone, the Mecca of hospitality. I don't think that he should ever, ever be a mayor anywhere. And then, Donald Mobilini. Why would anyone want to vote a man in as mayor that has a penis for a head and that shits so much it flows down the street of the city that he's mayor of? I just would disagree with that. That leaves you two people. All right. And I told you my thoughts of the two. That's what I told you. Right. I'm not telling you. I mean, if I could have registered, several hundred dead people to vote, I could promise that Howard Summer would go in and then he could have a parade through the cemeteries of Eastern Kentucky and thank all of those voters. That's what I think. But I didn't say I'd do that. I just said if I could. I can do that. I choose not to because I don't commit crime anymore. I just talk about it sometimes. And yeah, that's what I do. I will answer any question you have. The man's telling you. So anybody's got a question, go ahead and ask him. He says, no new taxes. Remove the illegal restaurant tax. You damn straight. Fix the water, sewer, roads. He's saying what they need. It's not tourism. We're going to fix everything it's going to be a tourist capital. No, it's not. It's Hazard, Kentucky. Madison, we love you too. All right. You remind me a lot of Sean Todd. Well, he was first cousin. He was. He absolutely was. She even went to court with Michael and took up for him when we had to go to court over domestic violence. Did you do that, Carla? Did you go? What did you say? Did you actually get up there on the stand and say, well, Michael, I'm sure he did abuse her. I'm sure he did. But he's not a bad guy. He's not a bad guy. He's not. We should let him abuse people every now and then. Oh, he had syphilis. He gave it to her too. Well, he gave her a gift. Michael's a very giving man. He's a very giving man. She had given him some money, and he decided to give her a gift in return. That gift was syphilis. That's the gift that keeps on giving. And Michael is so giving. He's got such a large heart and a small cock that he likes to make sure that everyone gets whatever gift he can give them. So he's trying to give that gift to every single person that he could. Did you say something like that, Carla? I'm guessing you did. And if you did, maybe you need some counseling. I'm sure we can find some counselor somewhere for you. Just saying. Throwing it out there. There are a few in the GOP I truly respect at this point, and I know them well. But when it comes to policy and actually helping people, I would still end up voting for Wesley over Brandon Smith. That said, Wesley and his buddies need to repent for that foolish prayer. Right? Yeah. I'm confident I know who prayed that. Oh, well, I don't need to know that name. Embarrassing. Again, he's an evangelist, which is exactly why it's so crucial to keep church and state separate. Why? Well, because, you use this book that you don't believe in, use that book to get people who do believe in it, but sometimes don't read it because you tell them that it's in there and they just believe you. You get those people to vote for you and you get more power and you rinse and repeat over and over and over and over again. That's what you do. That's what has been done. No, she said, so Carly gets up. Oh, no, Michael would never, he would never abuse her. He would give her syphilis. Absolutely not. That was a gift he only gave to me, just me. He would never do that. He's a good man. He makes sure that his syphilis-ridden cock only stays in one place. That's what he does. That's Michael. He can be loud. Yes, he can. He's been loud to me a few times. He was loud to me before I came up here and entered into court. And it was very loud and was telling me that I better not embarrass him. That's what he said. I hope I'm not embarrassing you, Michael. What was it, Carla? What was it? Because he admits in his own texts that he did that shit. And you really got up there and said he didn't. I don't get it. I think, and this is the truth, I think they need more than counseling. I do too. Certainly Michael had such a case. He said, I guess he said the antibiotics were out of date or not effective, whatever the bullshit is. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly. I mean, how bad of a case did you have? You got the shot. Did the doctor take the hammer and hit it? I don't know. I guess I'm thinking too much about Michael's syphilis-ridden cock. His small one. I guess. And then, Carla, I got to be honest with you. I didn't say that you did fuck Brad Stidham. But if you did, or whoever you might have, I can't blame you. Because I would want to stay away from that syphilis-ridden cock anyway. And let's be honest, it's just so small, it looks more like a clit than a cock. So very little satisfaction could come from that. I would imagine. I don't know. Don't really want to know. It's just the way my mind works sometimes. Sometimes my mind wanders about things like that. And it's election day. So look, we're going to close out the show. And I've not even talked about that Sam Howell guy over there. I got to talk about him a minute. Sam Howell, mayor, drunk, woman-beating mayor, likely murderer, Martin, Kentucky. Sam Howell. Caitlin Smith. I didn't say her name last night. I didn't want to. I thought it was Caitlin Smith. I didn't want to get the name wrong because I hadn't had time. I was going through court yesterday with my girlfriend. I didn't have time to do a lot of research, watch the YouTube videos and things like that, and I didn't want to get the name wrong. Caitlin Smith. He beat that woman repeatedly. She had EPOs against him. He had him dismissed because he was convicted. He beat that woman mercilessly, like a dog, over and over and over again. You know, women who are abused like that. You take like Michael Cagle, for example. The abuser, I've talked about that with children. The abuser destroys his victims' self-esteem. He cuts them off from what's called a safety net, that support group of friends, family members, maybe work associates that they've had and they rely on. So he cuts that person off from them, destroys their self-esteem. So now they no longer have anybody to talk to anymore, except that abuser. They have no real self-worth themselves. So they get their self-worth from the way their abuser views them. And it continues from that point. And you know, that person continues to beat them and abuse them. And it becomes very difficult for that woman to leave that relationship. Very difficult. You know, I've known people that, you know, if you've not grown up in an environment of abuse and all of a sudden you're in a relationship where you're being abused, you don't know how to exit it. And then you don't have anybody you can talk to anymore. You don't think you can. And that's what Sam Howell did to Caitlin Smith. Sam Howell, the mayor of Martin, Kentucky, beat the ever-loving dog shit out of that woman until she was found in his place, hanged, dead. Sam Howell, mayor of Martin, Kentucky. I know we've got moms and dads out there, brothers, sisters. Think about that. Think about that with your child that had been beaten like that many times for so long. And then one day, she's dead. And then the excuse for her being dead is she committed suicide. Think about that. I don't believe for an instant that woman committed suicide. I don't. I don't think that somehow got her to that mental state where she felt the only way out was at the end of a rope. I don't believe that at all. I believe that maybe that woman was trying to leave or had gotten up enough strength to finally leave, and that somehow abuser, beater of women decided that if he couldn't have her, no one would. That's my belief. I have absolutely zero evidence to prove that. But guess what? I know people that do have some evidence. And they're sending it over, Sammy. They're sending it over. And we are going to go as far as we need to on that. That's what we're going to do. There are just despicable people on this planet. There are despicable people on this planet. And a lot of those people are in positions of power. And a lot of those people that are in those positions of power, they do not give a damn about anyone but themselves. And they will beat people. They will rape people. They will kill people. They will get people fired. They will have their utility bills increased from $30 to $900 a month. They will let shits flow down the streets of a city. They will do all this stuff. They will let gasoline go to $4 a gallon and not care. Not care. Not care at the local, the state, or the federal level. Not give a damn as long as they keep power and profit. They won't give a damn. Sam Howell is one of those guys. Sam Howell is one of those guys. We can't continue to put up with that bullshit. We can't. Carla, hope you get some counseling. Hope you get some counseling. I hope you understand that, we don't take up for people like that. We don't. You may have thought that you were not taking up for him, but I think that's a case of your abuser and you identifying more with him than you identify with doing the right damn thing. That's what I think. And maybe you can take some, step away from whatever emotions you're feeling right now. If you're watching this show, maybe you can take a step away from that, let those emotions die down, let reason take over and say, hey, that profane son of a bitch that I really don't like, Brent Johnson, that profane asshole, he was right. Maybe you can do that. Sean Reisner is still missing. Sean Reisner is still missing. We need to know. I mean, come on. I've got a lot of information. I've talked to the feds. I'm expecting them to reach out to me in the next couple of days. I would talk about some of the stuff that I know and go from there. Anyone has any more information about Sean, please reach out. Small, big information, doesn't matter. If you don't know if it's true or not, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Reach out so we can put all these pieces together and get some closure for the Reisner family. So please, all right, please. If it were your relative, family member that was missing and you just didn't know what happened, you would want that closure as well. This is something that can haunt people the rest of their lives, not knowing. So please, let's get some information, some closure for that family. All right. Vote. We'll be back later today. We will be back through the day. Hopefully I've got time for some shorts, but 7:00 at night. Mm-hmm. And I'll make sure that it's 7:00 Eastern, not an hour late. Just had shit going on last night. And Pookie started telling me, hey, what about me? And somebody's saying Ronnie. Ronnie was the guy. Okay, so Ronnie is a guy that's running for constable. And I've got a lot of people telling me that Ronnie's a good guy. Former, volunteer fire department guy. Evidently a good guy. So if you guys need to know or would like, a lot of people here, and we've got good people in the comments. We've got really good people in comments. A lot of positive comments about Ronnie. I don't know the guy's last name, but he probably is the only Ronnie running for constable. So bear that in mind. All right. Tony Wilson, this might be a dumb question. Am I allowed to vote for mayor if I live out of the... That's not a dumb question. No, you're evidently not. So, even though you pay city taxes, if you're not within the city limits, you're not allowed to vote for mayor, which is a violation. I mean, I took 6th grade civics class. That's a violation. It's a violation. No taxation without representation. We had a whole bullshit tea party about that back in the day. They emptied just tons of Lipton instant tea into the Boston Harbor because of that. Yeah, you're not allowed to vote, even though you're paying taxes, hazard city taxes. Somebody, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, somebody needs to maybe file a lawsuit against that. Mm-hmm. It would need to be a resident of Perry County that was not within the city limits that had been paying those taxes. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They would probably need to file a lawsuit. You could probably find a lawyer that would be, he would be sexually excited at such a prospect of a lawsuit such as that. Mm-hmm. And he would point out that, hey, these people who are paying these taxes, hazard city taxes, they don't have any equal representation. Why are they being taxed? And they're allowed to vote. And maybe we can get people outside in the county that can help determine that as well. Maybe we can have a mayor of Perry County instead of mayor of Hazard, Kentucky. And if it continues to be Happy Mamalini, maybe the shit can run throughout the entire road system in Perry County. That's something to look forward to. Yes, it is. So vote. Try to make some shorts during the day. That's what we'll try to do. Try to make some shorts. Go from there. Guys, I love you. I love you. Some of you may not love me, but I love you. Let's check comments one more time. We'll close things out. Guys, I don't want to answer everybody yet. I don't want to do that. I want to do that. What the fuck? Angela back, Bill back. I guess we got to talk some more shit. Let's see what is it? What the hell is this? Why staying silent enables injustice? You're damn right it does. Somebody just sent me that note, and I'm like, absolutely, 100% positively correct. Absolutely. Someone wanted to know about my mention of Bitcoin, and back in the day, I guess Johnny Cummins would only accept Bitcoin. For him to understand that, I would suspect there was some, for someone to understand the value of Bitcoin back then, they would probably needed to understand its real use cases. And I've already talked about the use cases. So do we need to go further in that? I don't think we do. Just say, okay, I'll tell you the rest of these messages later. That's what I'll do. Look, guys, more messages here. So, Howard Sumner. Ronnie Dillon. Dillon's the guy's last name. I'm told that. I mean, no one said any negative thing about him whatsoever. No one. It's all been positive. Every bit of it. Every bit of it's positive. Seems to me that might make a good constable. Just saying. I'm not saying to vote for somebody said, you said you never be political. I know that. I try not to be trying to point out hypocrisy. That's what I'm trying to point out. I think I was very fair on the two decent candidates for mayor. I think I was very fair. I think I was more than fair with the way the county judge executive system looks. I think I was more than fair on that. Same thing with the sheriff. I know somebody sent me a message saying Jesse Day was a good guy. I know somebody said, I don't know. I do know that interview, he said everything wrong. Everything. I mean, everything. It's like he had a checklist, because he did have that book. It's like he had a checklist saying, let me say this wrong. They're going to ask me this question. What can I say that absolutely gets it 100% wrong? And he would do that. He would do that. It's like a miracle of being interviewed. It's like he was sent the questions in advance. And he sat down with a team of people. And that team of people literally said, let's think of the worst answer you could possibly give. And he did. He did. That was Jesse Day. I mean, seriously. My cops never need to get out of the vehicle. Wrong answer. My cops should be carbon copies of me. Way wrong answer. I mean, come on now. Just saying, throwing it out there. Maybe he's a good guy. I'm sure someone out there likes Chris Jones. I don't know who. I only think Chris Jones' mom likes Chris Jones. I think his mom is wanting to know when he's going to move out of the house. Look, I'm tired of making you peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Shit, can't you make them yourself? If you can't, you can buy some of those Uncrustables. I know they're $1 a piece, but I'm tired. Your mother is like 60, 70 years old, and you're like 40. Took you 30 years to get out of high school. Oldest man in the state of Kentucky to ever graduate high school with a full beard. Chris Jones. I don't know who. I mean, sure, I guess someone likes Chris Jones. I guess that guy who stole his police car probably likes him. I mean, I would chuckle. I would say, thank you, Chris, for the ride. That's what I would say. I'm sure someone likes Jesse Day. I don't know, man. I just know he got every answer wrong. As wrong as you could possibly get it. Like he was trying to be wrong. Like he was literally trying to be wrong. I don't know. Inquiring minds want to know. All right. Natasha. We're going to end with Natasha's statement here. I don't know what it says. We're going to read it. It's important to read scripture for yourself. Amen. That's why church and state must stay separate. Too many politicians twist scripture to justify foreign policies, and even pastors can be blinded because the love of money is the root of evil. Money is not the evil, it's the love of it. People stop voting based on emotion. Take the time to read the bills and laws for yourself. Some legislation can be complicated, but that's exactly why it's important to understand what's actually in it before forming an opinion. That's words of wisdom right there. I said I was going to stop it, Natasha, but then this popped up. Brett, I'm rolling. Stop. I'm wondering, thinking about that stolen cop car, evidently a Dodge. I got to be honest, I'm not impressed with Dodges. I know they've got big engines in them, but let's be honest, Dodge has not been able to build a vehicle ever. Lee Iacocca. That damn car sucked. It did. And then when Mercedes and Chrysler got together, Mercedes went downhill. Chrysler got marginally better. So yeah, sucks. I'm just wondering, that suspect, when he says, fuck you, and drives off, I'm wondering did Chris stand there? I'm sure the ladies at that point are looking at him like, well, that's typical Chris Jones for you. I mean, he was over here thinking he was going to hit on us, and we were just kind of chuckling at him, and we were going to talk about him like a dog as soon as he left, because shit, the man's 40 years old, and he lives with his mom in a twin-sized bed. She has to make his bed. Hell, she makes him peanut butter sandwiches. Ain't no way I'm going to sleep with that guy. Shit, he's in a twin-sized bed. What's he going to take me to his mom's house? Mom, me and my girlfriend are going to go up to the bedroom for a while in a twin-sized bed. And mom's probably going to say, leave the door open to a 40-year-old man. Do you even pay any rent, Chris? Do you bring any utilities in? Do you buy the peanut butter? Or does mom have to buy it too? When she makes it, does she mix up the grape jelly with the peanut butter? Because I put the peanut butter on first, and then I layer the jelly on top. That's what I do. What do you do? I know you don't do it. What does your mom do? Does mommy mix it all together? Do you do any dishes there? Do you vacuum? I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. I am not sure at all how you could have a productive romantic life, 40-some or 50-some years old, however old you are, living in your mom's house, sleeping in a twin-sized bed. Shit, you probably got, it's probably one of those race car twin-sized beds. You remember those, that plastic race car where it makes you feel like you're inside of the car? I bet you got one of those. You probably got some sort of, college or bullshit bedspread on there, and the pillows and, whatever the shit's in the room. I'm sure your Xbox is there. I'm sure that's in there. When you're not pulling people over and berating them because you're a horrible cop, You're in there playing Xbox, and you probably suck at it. You probably do. I'm sure you do. But you think you don't. So you probably, 40-some-year-old man trying to go to the gaming where you playing Fortnite against 4-year-olds. They don't have the dexterity, and you're able to beat the dog shit out of them. You're like, I'm the greatest Fortnite player among 4-year-olds ever. And meanwhile, the 4-year-old's like, dude, you're 40, and you sleep in a twin-size bed. Shit, I've got a better romantic life than you. So I'm just wondering about that suspect. When he stole that car, did Chris stand there, just jaw agape? Or did he run after it? Hey, come back with my car. Or did he curse? Stop! Fuck! What did he do? And then who called Joe Engel to tell him that Chris Jones had been an idiot and had his cop car stolen? And then what did that call sound like? Hey, Joe? Yeah, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, I'm doing all right. Yeah, everything's fine, Sheriff. Yeah, everything's fine. Look, I'm at the Perry County Park. I don't have a car. He drove off in it. He drove off in the car. I don't know. I was talking. They were some very pretty girls, and I just wanted to talk to them. I don't know what I was going to do. I don't. I mean, I was going to hope they would come back to mommy's, and I could, we could go up there and maybe play Xbox or something. I could show her my race car pet. Please send someone come get me, please. And please don't tell anybody. Please don't tell anybody. Was that the call? I don't know. I imagine it may have been something like that. I don't know. That's Chris Jones, though. We like to tell the truth. We just like to tell the truth here. That's all we like to do. Oh, look at this. That guy that stole his car is actually my first cousin. I'm going to tell you what, Roger Begley, if that is your first cousin, I doff to my hat to you, and I doff of my hat to that young man. That young man, that right there is a trendsetter. That's a get something done dude right there. That's exactly right. That is someone to be respected and remembered and talked about as you tell stories, looking back at the past. You remember that one time that my cousin, he stole that cop car from that son of a bitch, Chris Jones. That was, and think about that every time. Once the guy gets out of jail, he could go to barbecues and tell the story to people, and everyone would chuckle and say, and then what happened? And then what happened? And Chris was crying as you left? Tell me that story again. And you say all kinds of stuff like that. That, your first cousin, it makes me like you more, and it makes me like him more. I feel like I'm family to the guy. I feel like I'm family. Tammy, good morning. We're signing off right now. Who needs a therapist when we have Brett? Maybe I need a therapist. I don't know. Thank you, Edwards Howard. Thank you so much, brother. That means a lot to you. Are definitely more than worthy in my book. All right. Melinda, I'm glad you love this show. I love talking some shit on this show. My girlfriend pointed out to me last night. She said, Pookie came and got me because he was ready to go to bed. I'm close with this. Pookie came and got me. He was ready to go to bed. My girlfriend, she's in there. She's like, I just believe that you like the profanity. And I looked at her and I said, I got to be honest with you. I kind of do. I said, I have a lot of fun with that. I said, and it keeps me from cursing in the real world. I'm able to save it all for this show. That's what I like. Save it for something worthy. There she is right there. She just walked in. She's been tanning. Nothing better than a cute blonde with a tan and sunglasses. Hum. She's looking at me like now, right now. She's shaking her. She's like, I can't believe he's saying that right now. But he is. And he did. And now he's gawking at her. Humala, humala. Hi. I got to get off the show before she comes over and strangles me. All right, guys, I love you. I'll be back through the day and tonight, what have you. All right, I love you. I love you. I love you. Not all of you. Not all of you. Most of you. I'm Brett Johnson, Brett Johnson Show. What are we? We're Eastern Kentucky. We stand tall. We are proud people. I got that wrong. I twisted him around there. We do the right thing. Today's election day. Let's do the right thing. And understand that we're not only Eastern Kentuckians, we are Kentuckians and we are Americans. Hypocrisy spreads local, state, federal, and to the theological. I'm Brett Johnson. Until tonight, hopefully 7 Eastern. Hopefully. We'll see. Brett, you're always late. I know. I love you. Till then, just do the right damn thing. Take care. She's literally laying on the bar like, are you signing off or not? Yes, son of a bitch. So she's doing it right now. So I love you guys. Take care. And bye-bye. Just do the right damn thing. Bye.